Hello and welcome to another Sprues and Brews unboxing video. Today we're very lucky. We have to thank Games Workshop for sending us a copy of the new Leagues of Votann army set for us to review. And that's what we've got in front of us today. So you can see here, this is the front of the box. Some really nice artwork on here. I really like the sort of armor paneling style that goes around the outside, the border. And if we flip this over, we can see what the contents are. So this is up for pre-order today, and this is an opportunity for you to get your hands on some of the new models and, of course, the Codex ahead of the rest of the range, which will follow, I assume, later this year. But yeah, you get quite a lot of content in here. So we get 20 of the new Hearthkyn warriors. We get 3 of the Hearthkyn pioneers, which are these bikes, and it looks like you get the parts to build at least one of them with the heavy weapons at the top there. We get the Einherjar champion, which is, I think he's like almost like a lieutenant type option for the Leagues of Votann, a sort of close combat powerhouse. And what's really great is we get the Uther the Destined character. He's the named character for the Leagues of Votann, and what's really cool about this one is you can build him as a sort of unnamed Carl character in your army. The box also contains the Codex, of course, with a nice cover. The cards, which are your Stratagems and the Skywrought Psychic Discipline powers. Some really nice transfers, which we'll see shortly. And a collection of tokens. So there's a variety of different Judgment and Grudge tokens that you use. And I wonder, we'll check shortly, I wonder if you get the resource tokens on there as well for your sort of Crusade options. But yeah, that's really nice. So what we'll do is we'll park this to one side and we'll just have a look inside. So before we go into the contents of the box itself, as I took the cover off, there's some even more artwork, which is really nice. I really like Star Wars, so I just want to take 2 seconds to show you this. So on here we can see a lot of the as yet unreleased sort of plastic miniatures that have come in. We've got here, of course, the Grimnir, which was recently revealed at the on the Warhammer community. Almost like a dwarf rune priest, really cool. We've got the sort of heavier exosuit Leagues of Votann units there. The Cathonia. The Cathonia Berserks here, which are like I think of them as dwarf slayers, the two-handed weapons and things like this. And of course the Hearthkyn land fortress there. So yeah, I just wanted to show you that. It's a really nice piece of artwork. And I think on the other side as well, we get some cool artwork here, which show, well, this is really interesting because it shows the Leagues of Votann in combat against different Xenos races. But what's really interesting, we also see that this is almost a nod to the old sort of squats sort of style there. Yeah, very cool. Okay, so as I said, inside we get the Codex, we get the data cards, we get 2 sheets of the new transfers, which we can just take a look at quickly now. So these are identical, I think. Yeah, these are identical. And we can just see there. If I hold it the right way around for you, that probably helps. So we've got the different transfers here for the different. These are the different sort of chapters almost for the Leagues of Votann. They've got in the Codex, you'll see they've got their own special rules, Warlord traits, that kind of thing. And then it looks like we've got some generic sort of Leagues of Votann transfers there you can apply to vehicles and units. Yeah, I really like them. So like I say, you get 2 sheets of those. And what you hear drop down on the floor then is the token sheet that we also get. So these are your Judgment tokens and Grudge tokens, I think. Yep, that's right. So you'll see when we come to the Codex review what these different tokens are used for. The Judgment tokens, the Judgment mechanic is sort of a key sort of mechanic, I guess, of the army, where you can apply Judgment tokens to enemy units, and your own units get bonuses when they attack those judge targets. And I think there's stratagems and different things that play off the Judgment as well. The Grudge tokens are like a Crusade mechanic, where you can give enemy factions and things grudges, very dwarfy. and then you have different rules that play off that sort of element as well. So it's really nice to get these. These are like thick card transfers that you just punch out. Not transfers, sorry, tokens that you can punch out. Really cool. And then, like I said, here we get a box of the cards. Really nice artwork on the front. It looks like an Einherjar champion or Einherjar Hearthguard. And on the back there is more of the sort of exosuit. Nice sort of dwarf motifs running across the top there. Yeah, and inside here, I won't go through all of these because we'll see, I guess, all of this in the Codex review. But yeah, we get a bunch of stratagems here, straight out of the Codex. And then towards the back, I'm assuming we'll get the psychic power. There we go, the psychic powers. So the Skynwrought discipline is the sort of psychic discipline that the Leagues of Votann get access to, their Grimnir unit. Always nice to have cards. What you don't get in this box is the dice. They're like a faction dice. I'm not sure if there will be faction dice or not. I hope so. I really like sort of faction dice. So yeah, so the cards. Yep, and then here we have as well the Codex. We'll come back to this and cover this properly later on, but you just give you a glimpse here of the new artwork on the back there. So yeah, it's very nice. And then before we get to the sprues themselves, we'll just have a quick look through the instruction manuals that come with the army set. So pretty standard here. Good instructions for building all of the models. So this is the character at the start here. You can build them in two different ways, like I said. The name character, either the Destined or a generic Carl. Lots of different weapon options. This here is the Einherjar champion. This model is growing on me the more and more I see it. I'm really looking forward to building this particular model. You've got the option of the big sort of hammer, and also I think there's like a fist, an axe as well, and then he's got this sort of like bolter sort of fist thing on his left arm there. Really, really cool. You get a choice of heads as well. And these things here that go on the top, these are the like crests, but there's different versions of the crests, as you'll see in the Codex review. They give different sort of abilities, and a lot of the Leagues of Votann units have them. Really, really cool. And then we get the start of the Hearthkyn warriors. So these are the only troops option in the Codex. So I'm really pleased to see that there's so much variety on the sprue, and as we get to the sprues in a second, you'll see. Obviously, you're going to have, a few of these units in your army as they're your only troops. And it's great that you can build them in so many ways so that you get a lot of variety across your army. There's different close combat weapons here, lots of different heads, female and male, with the domed helmet as well, which you could represent either a helmet or perhaps one of the Ironkin, which accompany the Leagues of Votann to war. They've also got a lot of different ranged weapons. Yeah, you can see a couple of them on here. I think that's the mag rail rifle. There's like a missile launcher looking thing. They've got iron weapons, they're bolt type weapons. They've got different upgrades as well in units like medics and things like this. I like as well how they do look quite similar to the Ironhead Prospector squats that we saw for Necromunda, which, they're the same sort of bloodline, so to speak. But they do also have their own distinct style. I love these guys here. The one with their domed helm, they're really, really cool. Here's this missile launcher type weapon. I'm not sure what it's called yet. We'll have to have a look through the Codex later. And then we finally come to the Hearthkyn Pioneers, which are the sort of the trike type unit. And you can see here the three different ways you can build it, two different heavy weapons, and then the sort of standard weapon on the front there. Lots of variety in the heads as well. These look like they're going to be very, very fun to build. You can sort of attach all of the sort of weapons and equipment things to the saddle, so to speak. They do look like proper pioneers, sort of ranging out ahead of the main Leagues of Votann line, maybe scouting out enemy formations or mineral deposits or, salvage tech or something like that they're trying to locate for the rest of the kin band. Very cool. Yeah. So there we go. So that's the instruction manual, and that just leaves then the sprue. So let's grab the sprue off the top, which I believe is, let's have a look. So I'll grab the top sprues. So these look like they are the Hearthkyn warriors, your standard troops. So we'll put those to one side and we'll have a good look. So yeah, so what we got on here then? So we got the main bodies and the torsos. We got some different backpacks here with the antennas and things, satchels and grenades. We've got some of the well, these look like weapons that you can perhaps just attach to backpacks and things. They don't have any hands molded onto them or sculpted onto them, so these look like, you know, hanging off belts and things like that. We've got here arms which are sort of holding weapons at rest. This must be a bolt type weapon, and this looks a bit different, maybe an iron weapon. Like I say, looking at the datasheet for this particular unit, they have so many options. So there's going to be a lot on these sprues, I think. Can we see here? It's just the flip side. You can see some of the heads there that you can use, and I'm guessing they're interchangeable, so you can perhaps use some of these on some of the other kits as well. We'll have to see when we start building them. Some of the pistols. Okay. This sprue here is different again. So on this one, it looks like we've got still some of the bolt type weapons and the iron weapons. We've got some of the melee weapons. So I guess this goes on the sort of unit champion. The sort of phase sword or the sort of plasma sword. They're a bit different than power weapon, pure power weapons. And the way the sort of Games Workshop Studio have painted them as well, they look almost like they're sort of come out straight out of a forge and are glowing. You can see here, these are the different crests. So you can just see that they all look very similar there, but these are sort of like go over the front of the over the top of the warrior's head, the unit champion. And in the rules, they do have different effects, so you can give units like invulnerable saves and things like this. Okay, we've got some more torsos. This is one of the heavy weapons here. I think this is maybe the mag rail weapon. A shovel. Every good dwarf needs a shovel. And this looks here like the sort of power fist equivalent. Really, really nice. I mean, you get a lot on these sprues. It's really good. I can't wait to start putting these guys together. And then let's have a look at this one here. So, right, so this is the same sprue again, I think. Yeah, this side certainly is, with the mag rail there. This side here. This looks a bit different here because we've got, I assume this is maybe one of the missile launch type weapons there. You get 20, enough pieces here to make 2 squads of 10, basically 20 of the Hearthkyn warriors. So I'm assuming we've got the double of every sprue to do that. Some more helms here, the helmet, very nice. And we'll go to the last sprue, which I think we've seen all of this now. Yep. So this is the same sprue we saw at the beginning with the 2 sort of pickaxe and the axe here. And we've got the backpack there, different backpack. This one here looks a bit different as well. I'm not sure what that's got on the side there. Like I say, I think there are almost like 3 sort of upgrades you can give to the unit. A medic is one of them. I can't quite recall what the other 2 were. I think one had some sort of scanner. So that's the Hearthkyn warrior. So like I say, you get 2 of each sprue. So 6 sort of sprues in total there to build the 20 warriors. If we go on next to the Hearthkyn Pioneers. So we get sort of 3 sprues here. Let's have a look. Are they all the same? I'm not sure. We'll go through them and we can find out. So this is one of them here. I certainly can't see any of the big heavy weapons on this. Oh, maybe a little bit there. Oh, that's at the front. I think they do have a gun sort of in the nose of the trike itself. We've got this piece here, this rock piece, which I guess the bike sort of sits on when you're building it. The sort of anti-gravity plates that almost like the wheels of the trike. I really like the cloaks here that the sort of riders wear over the top of their armor. Get a couple of heads there. You can just see these seem to have like the visors on. There are more helmets as well as heads. There's one at the back there and another one here. Really cool. Different pistols. So that's one sprue, and then we can just take a quick look at the other ones. So these are the other two sprues. Yeah, and one of them must be different here because I can see we've got one of the heavy weapons here which wasn't on the first sprue, and I wonder. No, they are all different. So it is 3 different sprues by the looks of it. Yeah, I'm just comparing now, which is good, really. I think you're going to get a lot of variety in the unit. So it looks like there's another heavy weapon there. I think these are like iron cannons. They sort of share a sort of passing resemblance to the Tau iron weaponry. And I know in the background there is a link between these two factions. On this side we've got the last sprue. There's some interesting pieces on here, some stowed melee weapons, like sleeping bags, I guess. Packs of ammunition and other supplies. They really do have that sort of ranger feel to them. So that's the Hearthkyn Pioneers. Let's see what the next one is. Okay, so this then is the Einherjar Champion, and wow, this sprue looks amazing. Look at those weapons. This axe here with the runes on, the big hammer. Oh, I'm really impressed with this sprue. Really impressed. Look at this. This here, this is the integrated sort of bolter fist thing, and it's huge. Wow. And different plates here that you can put, I guess, on that bit there, so you can have different runes. These guys are a HQ option. You can have, a couple of these guys in your army, so it's great that you can build them with different designs there, different helms as well. Oh wow, yeah, I'm very impressed with this sprue. Yeah, this is the bolter weapon that must go on the inside of this piece here. Oh, he's gonna be brilliant, I think. Just one crest. Oh no, 2 crests. There we go. So we got 2 different crests there, and like I say, they do have different rules, so they provide different bonuses. I'm not sure what the Einherjar Champions crests do, but we'll find out when we get to the Codex review. Yes, very impressed with that one. And that just leaves then the Uther the Destined or Carl kit. So let's have a look. So we've got obviously the rock here that he stands on. We've got, this is the blade that you can equip the character with, but you also get the option of a axe type weapon, and I think there's a fist weapon as well, but I can't see it on here. This is a bit of it there, so I guess it's in multiple parts. Another crest, a belt with a sword on there. Here we are, here's the fist right in front of me. We've got 2 different weapons. This is like a Volkite weapon, I think, or a kind of Volkite weapon. And it looks like a Storm Bolter, but obviously it's a Leagues of Votann. I think they're called Autok Bolters or something. And then, yeah, one thing I was really impressed with on this model when I saw it in the Games Workshop video is the different head options. So we've got one which is almost like a gold-plated head. I assume it's this one here. We can get that close to the camera. I don't know if you can see it very well. But 3 different heads there. Doesn't look like there's a female head, if you wanted to make a female Carl. But like I say, I'm pretty sure. Let me grab one of the other sprues down here. I'm pretty sure these heads here are pretty, yeah, I think there. You can see this is the Hearthkyn warriors here, so you can see some heads at the top. You can swap them easy, so you can grab a female head from there to make a female leader for your army. Oh yeah, very, very impressed with these. I don't know how I'm going to build this guy. I don't know whether to build him as Uther the Destined or to build him as a generic Carl. Perhaps I will build him as a generic Carl. The big power fist type weapon sort of appeals to me, I think. Although the axe is also cool. Oh, I don't know. I'll have to buy another set, I think. Okay, and that's all the contents of the box. So let's grab. Okay, and that's the contents of the new Leagues of Votann army set. So we've gone through the cards, the tokens that you get, the 2 sets of transfers, the codex, and of course all of the models as well, and the instruction booklet so you can build them. I'm going to get cracking now, putting these models together, getting some paint on them, and we'll be back with with another video showing the finished results. Okay, and so we're back now. I've had a chance to build the contents of the army set, and even put some paint on some of the models as well. So we'll just spend a short bit of time now just looking a bit more closely at the built models. So I think we'll start with the Hearthkyn warriors, which are your sort of troops choice in the book. If we get a couple of the painted models in front of us here. These models were really fun to put together. I recently built some Ironhead squat prospectors for Necromunda, and I really enjoyed putting them together, and these guys were just as much fun. So many options on the sprue, so many different ways to put them together. I think you can build several units and not have them all look the same, which is great. Let's see, I've got one model that's fully painted, if I can find him on here somewhere. Not that chap. This one here. So this is your basic Hearthkyn warrior. This is with the bolt weapon. There were some extras that I could put on, like grenades and pouches and things. Well, I didn't bother doing that. As you can see, they're quite detailed anyway, so I didn't add any of the extra stuff. They're still all on the sprues. You can build these with a variety of different heads. So this is a helmed version here. You've also get the parts for like a Ironkin, which are, these are like the mechanical intelligences that sort of accompany the kin, work alongside them, live alongside them. And yeah, you get a mixture of these sort of domed helms as well. You can see as well the legs on this one are slightly different, a more mechanical type look to them to represent like the Ironkin. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, so that's this guy again. So he's got the standard sort of bolt weapon. You get a whole load of different weapons on the sprue. So in this squad alone, you can see I've got some here with the pistols, and there's different. You get iron pistols, plasma pistols. He's also got a concussion fist, like a power fist type weapon. This thing on the top here, I've not completely finished painting it yet, is the shield crest. So there are a variety of different crests and heads. Like this one's got like a wolf head, I think, on the front there, or a boar's head. You get different ones you can put on there, so you can make all your squads unique. As you can see, there's lots of detail on them. Really nice looking sort of, I don't know, like high-tech spacesuit type thing. You do get parts to build, like the sort of heavy weapons. So this is a mag rail. You'll see in a second when we go on to the second squad, I've built one with an L7 missile launcher. There's like big plasma cannon type things in here as well. High-las rifles, auto rifles. This guy here's got the sort of helmed, fully helmed version on there. I had a bit of trouble because obviously I painted, as you'll see with the second squad. I sort of built them without the heads and painted the heads separately. But I do think some heads fit inside some bodies a bit better than others. So I did struggle when I was putting these together. I think I'm going to take a bit more time with the second squad to make sure I get the right helms with the right sort of bodies. But it doesn't look too bad, I don't think. The transfers I thought were really cool. So these are the Greater Furian League. I tried to sort of match the colour scheme as best I could. I'm not sure if I'm going to carry on painting the whole army in this colour scheme or not. There's been so many cool colour schemes online. I might switch over to a different scheme. Also on the sprue, you get like specialists. So you can see these guys, this guy and this guy here. They are like scanners and medics, and there's another one as well. I think when we come to the Codex review, we'll find out what the different rules they have. They can sort of have these overslung sort of weapons, and you get the option for the iron guns and these bolt guns as well. But they're really cool, like sort of tapping on the wrist consoles and things like this. This guy's got like a scanner. Yeah, I really like them. Lots of character to these models. You also get, like I mentioned, lots of different head options: male, female, ironkin. Really cool. I'm pretty sure you will build multiple squads and none of them will look the same. This guy's got a little knife here. There were options to build him with his knife pointing backwards and things like that. Another pistol type weapon there. So that was the one squad I managed to sort of almost pretty much fully paint up there. Just move these to one side. We'll bring on the other squad. So these guys, they're not quite painted. Yeah, well, they're not even base coated yet. I'm sort of building them in sub assemblies, but you can see this one here is holding his dagger backwards. This backpack is a really cool sort of backpack on the sprue. I think it's supposed to represent the sort of medic in the squad. So we'll come to the Codex review and you'll see the rules for the sort of medic and different upgrades the squad can take. But it's got like all these extra sort of accessories hanging off it. As you can see, the poses are really cool. This guy here has got the he's got a bolt pistol as well. You can see the revolver bolt pistol. This is the sort of Thane, which is like the sergeant for the squad. He's got, I give him the Hearthkyn plasma pistol, and he's also got this there's a bit of sand there stuck on there. This axe, the plasma axe rather than the fist, which also looks really cool. I wanted to sort of fit each squad a bit differently. The rest of the squad have got these the iron guns, so you can see how they sort of compare to the bolt weapons on the other squad. Just for a bit of variety. Other than that, they're pretty much the same. Show you one of the other sort of special weapons. This is the L7 missile launcher. Such a nice model. I really like the look of this gun, so I had to have one of these in the squad. You can see as well on this one, he's got like a mechanical foot. Just make it out on there. So the kin, they're not averse to sort of modifying themselves and augmenting themselves with bionics and things like that to help them better perform in whatever role they've got in life. Really cool background for the kin. We'll come to the Codex review shortly, and you'll see how well they've sort of fleshed out the Leagues of Votann. Just a couple more of the models here. This again is another scan. I can't remember which one of the upgrades the specialist this guy is. He's got some cool gadgets off his backpack there. Again, he's got this overslung sort of gun, this one being the iron gun. And then here we've just got like a regular Hearthkyn. Oh no, it's the same chap, isn't it, with the backpack. So they are the Hearthkyn warriors. We'll shove them to one side. I think we'll look at the Hearthkyn pioneers next, which are the bikes. So this is one that I managed to completely paint up. Such a great kit as well. Really characterful, and you can really make each of these very different. The sort of the equipment on the back there. There's lots of different. I think there's 3 or 4 different types of sort of equipment you can put on the back of the bike. There's a variety of weapons they can carry. All of these sort of things on the front here. So this guy's got his shotgun there, and his, I don't know, rucksack or sleeping bag on the front there as well. As you can see, I've also built this one with the domed helmet, which is the to represent an ironkin. I just thought that was really cool. And you know, they're almost treated like equals in kin society in the Leagues of Votann. So why not have one? He comes on the sprue, so I thought I'd build it. I think it looks quite cool. So again, this is painted in the Great Arthurian League's colour scheme. The sort of almost like a Sons of Horus green with the sort of off-white carapace armour. I think it works quite nicely. It attaches to the base on, you can just see this sort of rock stone thing there. I had trouble with that. I think pinning it is going to be the thing to do when you're building these ones, just to keep them a bit steady. I've not done that with this model, but I think for the rest of them I will. It's stable enough, but I think it might snap, and I think if you can pin it, that'll be best. I would also really recommend that, I made a mistake with these guys. It was very tricky to get a paintbrush in and paint lots of the bits on this bike. It took quite a long time to paint, actually. And what I would do is, you can see these two repulsor pads or whatever they are, the back wheels, so to speak. They're sort of built in a sub-assembly. You put the rider on, and then you glue these on along over the top of it. So the rider goes on first, then these two attach to the main sort of chassis of the bike. I think you could probably leave them off, paint them separately, so you can get to behind them and underneath them. It will allow you to get to the rider a bit more easily, and some of the sort of rest of the bike, underneath the body of the bike, and then glue these on afterwards. That would be what I would recommend doing when you're putting these together. Likewise, leave this bit off at the front as well and paint that separately. I managed okay, but it would be much easier, I think, if these were separate. Again, I've used one of the transfers over the top here. Really like the transfers. I really like. Just this model's brilliant. So yeah, so this is the one I managed to get painted. You get another one here. So this is just another single one. So you can see here they've got the shotgun ready in their hand, so you can glue this bit on here without the shotgun in it, which is really cool. I mean, you don't have to put that on there. There are other things you can put on. I think there's an axe. Maybe put that one on the other model. Again, I put a rucksack here, but you can put it at the top there. You can shove it on the side. You could perhaps put it on the back. Lots of different ways to put this together, so you can get like a variety of sort of poses in your squads and your army. Again, you can see that it's attached here by one of these repulsor things to the rock at the back. But again, you might want to pin that in. It's pretty steady, but I don't know. And again, I really wish I'd kept this in sub-assemblies to paint it, but there you go. So yeah, really cool, the Hearthkyn Pioneers. And of course, in the army set, you get the option to build a sort of two-man Hearthkyn Pioneer bike. So the general build is pretty much identical. Here you go, you can see the axe here. And then at the back, you put these sort of like footstand things on instead of the box of equipment, and these little chains here, and that's where your gunner sort of attaches. So he'll slot in there, and it sort of goes on his belt. Really cool looking. This is the autocannon weapon. I think you get a plasma or iron gun as well you can use. I can't quite remember now. But yeah, they're very nice kits to put together. And again, it's got his pistol out there rather than shotgun, and I've not put the shotgun on this one. I've just used an axe instead. So that's the three Hearthkyn Pioneers. Put them to one side. And then of course we get the two characters. So we'll start with the Carl. So this model can be built as either a regular Carl, which is what I've done here, with a variety of weapons. There's a Volkite pistol-y weapon, there's an axe, you get a sword or this fist. A variety of different heads on the sprue, all male, but I'm pretty sure you could use one of the female heads, maybe even an Ironkin head, if you wanted to, on the model. Really nice model again, very dynamic pose. Yeah, I like this. This is the regular Carl. You can obviously build him as the Uther the Destined, which is the name character. I've not done that in this case, but I think the next one I pick up will be Uther. I've used here the helm, which is like a fully enclosed sort of metal helm, which I just thought was really it's quite original across the rest of the range. None of the other units have that sort of helm, so it makes them stand out a little bit more. You can see the shield crest as well. Lots of these sort of crests have different abilities on different units, and you can take sometimes you get an option to take
one or one or another different type of crest, and that confers a different bonus on the unit or the model. I think there are some relics as well that you can use. I like the sort of drum barrel on the gun as well. And then another thing that's great with these models, they've got all this like inset, almost a dwarfish rune type things on the weapons, on their armor. Really, really nice to pick out. I've done him in like a contrasting, so he's not got the off-white carapace armor. I've done him with the darker sort of Sons of Horus Lupercal green sort of armor there. So yeah, he's a nice model. And then I think my favourite character is the Einherjar Champion, who is just such a nice model. It is such a chunky, armoured beast of a unit. So he's wearing this exosuit. He's sort of launching himself off this rock. These things here, I think, are the thing that let him like jump around and barge into units. He's got this massive sort of thunderhammer looking weapon. You get the option to equip him with I think it's a dark style plasma axe or something like that, big massive axe that you can use instead. But I just think he looks great with this hammer. Again, you've got the shield crest, and this one's got like a ram's head, but you get a choice. And this thing here, it's almost like a twin linked sort of bolt gun. You can just see underneath there, attached to like a shield. With you get a choice of different sort of insets of these runes you can put in place here. Such a nice sort of, I don't know, like element of the model, I think. I really like this guy, and I mean, if you put him next to the Carl, you can sort of see the size difference, how chunky that armor actually is. Very, very impressive. And if we put him next to just a regular Hearthkyn, and there you go, it's even more obvious how much bigger he is. Very, very cool rules as well. He's like a HQ option in the army. He was great fun to build. He was the first model I built, actually. I was that impressed with how he looked. A choice of different heads again you can put in there. So yeah, that's it, I think, for the model. So like I said, I got a lot of them built and painted. I get cracking now with the rest of them. We'll have some still shots of all the different models and units and things in the post, so you can check them out and get a closer look at them. But I think now we'll move on to the actual codex itself, and we'll start flicking through the codex and have a look at the new lore and sort of rules of the Leagues of Votann.
Okay, so we've had a look at the models. Now let's take a closer look at the codex itself. So here we are with the Codex League of Votann. You can see this gorgeous artwork on the front of this sort of army set edition of the codex itself, with a Carl, or is this Uther the Destined, perhaps with the blade of the ancestors there. Some of the Chthonian berserks. That's a Votann or a monument to a Votann in the background there. Really, really cool. We got the exosuits and the Hearthkyn warriors here. We go inside. Nice artwork there, and a little bit of blurb there, sort of introducing the Leagues of Votann, what they stand for. So we can see in the contents here, the first section of the book, as you'd expect from a lot of the 9th edition Warhammer 40k codexes. We get a lot of background about the Leagues of Votann, the kin themselves, their society, their origins, the Votann, the sort of machine intelligences that they worship. There's some interesting lore here. This war zone, Orgvire, which is features some world eaters, which is interesting, as we know the world eaters are on their way. There's some really cool description about the galactic core, the sort of very dense with stars and the different environmental conditions and whatnot at the core that the kin have adapted to and prospered in, really. We get some information about the different leagues, which are, think of them as like Tau septs or Space Marine chapters, I guess, in that sort of way. Individual sort of groupings of different kin that work together, trade together, fight together. And it goes in a bit of detail about those kin themselves, the Greater Furion League and the Kronos Hegemony and things like that. Then there's a miniature showcase, which we'll flick through, and then we come to the rules themselves. So we get the sort of detachment abilities, the league bonuses and relics and stratagems and things that they get. We've got the different army rules, which we'll probably come to first before we take a look at the data sheets, and the Crusade content as well, which is really cool. Yeah, so we get a nice introduction there to the Leagues of Votann. And I have to say as well, I've read through the lore in this book. I think they've done a cracking job of sort of integrating the faction into the current setting. It doesn't feel like they're shoehorned in. You know, it describes their origins, how, you know, they come from Terra. They were you know, abhumans really, but they've developed their own society, their own culture, their own way of living, their own technology. They've got their own ambitions and desires and things like this. It's really cool. They are a really sort of standalone faction in the setting, but they've done such a good job of sort of, like I say, integrating into the current setting. I was a bit worried at first that they may feel a bit sort of tacked on, or, you know, oh, this is what the kin are, and this is what they've been up to. But no, they've done a really good job, I think. Some nice new artwork there. I really like the artwork. I mean, this piece here especially just reminds me of like the old squats. Of course, we've got them here fighting the orcs. The orcs are a big nemesis of the kin, as they call themselves. So really, you know, it's all about their society, their origins. You know, it's really interesting. But you can see some of the artwork here that's very nice. It talks a little bit here about the guilds, which are like, well, sort of bands of the kin that sort of dedicate themselves to a particular profession. And some of the guilds, they sort of not go to war with each other, but, you know, there may be some resource or some territory that the guild needs, and there'll be rival guilds competing for it, or the first ones to discover something. Really interesting. You can see here as well some of the artwork of some of the drones that, well, I say they're drones, they're like, I think these are ecogs, or like, you know, artificial intelligences, but they're sort of, they're treated almost as equals, a bit similar to, I guess, to the Tau with their drone technology, but the Tau drones seem a bit more subservient, and a bit, they seem to have a bit less personality. There are one or two instances, aren't they? The Shadow Sun's drones, I think, have a bit of character, but the Ironkin, as they're called in here, they're their own individual sort of intellects with their own sort of behaviours and things like this. It's really interesting. You can see some of that, the awesome technology that the Leagues of Votann are able to sort of employ. And it talks here a bit about how they use the warp as well. Very similar to the way the Tau use the warp. They don't really have any proper psychers or navigators. They do have this barrier tech sort of technology, which certain kin can sort of activate and use in a similar way to a psyker. It also talks here about the clone schemes, or clone schemes, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. You know, basically the Votann oversee the sort of each kin generation, and, you know, they are like a clone society, but they're made up of the gene pool that they can spawn the sort of kin from is so large and so varied that they, you know, from an outsider's point of view, they don't look like clones at all. And some kin will have sort of traits that suit them to certain aspects of kin life, and it's the Votann, these big machine intelligences that the kin worship, that they decide, you know, what kind of kin they need to sort of spawn. It does talks a little bit here about the sort of ancient origin, or the myths of the kin, you know, leaving the Terror to head to the galactic core, and then they sort of diverge then from the rest of human society. And this here's a Votann, so these are the big sort of cogitator engines which have sort of developed their own sentience over the millennia. And what's really cool, they describe quite a lot of them, including some that have been lost or destroyed or gone mad. It's very interesting. It even describes a lot about how the kin interact with the Votann and the Grimnirs, the rune priest looking sort of Votann models, how they use like these interfaces, these crucible interfaces, to sort of interact with the Votann. This is the war zone where they're fighting some world eaters. You can see, I think it looks a bit like a Demiurge ship if you're familiar with the old Battlefleet Gothic game. The Leagues of Votann, they pilot these ships, these Demiurge. That's one of the names that the rest of the galaxy know them as. So you can see there's so much background here. The way they fight, the way they live, trade, interactions with other races in the galaxy. We get a really cool map of the galactic core here. All of the different holes and strongholds and trade routes and whatnot. Like a zoomed in section here of the Milky Way itself. And then the different territories that the League occupy. I guess you see some of that on here. Talks here about far space, which is the term that the kin refer to space outside of the galactic core, I guess where the rest of us live. And there's a story here. Then we get into some background here about the leagues themselves. Uther the Destined there, the special character for the Greater Florian League. So these all have rules as well when we come to that later. And then there are all lots of smaller leagues that no longer exist. And this just allows a player to sort of design their own league for their own army. And then we've got a bit here about the Ironkin, which I just think is brilliant. I love these Ironkin. They have, like I say, their own personalities. They have different roles, and but they're not sort of dedicated to a particular role. They are able to perform other functions as well. And there's a bit here where the living kin sort of medics in units as well. They're trained to not like, if an Ironkin's leg gets blown off, they just build a new one and swap the parts around. They don't do that. Their bodies are treated just like a regular kin's body would be treated, and they've got special medics that train up to sort of provide medical assistance to Ironkin as well. It's really, really cool. You get to hear a bit about the sort of technology and in particular sort of military technology that the Leagues of Votann are able to employ. The defensive technology, the close quarters technology, and their ranged weaponry. A lot of it shares sort of common ancestry with a lot of human technology. There are some differences. Obviously, humans don't have much iron cannon type weaponry. It's more sort of what you think of as a Tau weapon, really. But you can see where it's diverged slightly from sort of the Imperium's own technology. Then we come to the model showcase, and there are some amazing colour schemes. So you can see the major packs here. I think my favourite has to be this one, this Trans-Hyperion Alliance. This orange arm is very, very nice. Some more of the model showcases here. Yeah, I do like that orange armour. At first glance, I thought these were Blood Angels Terminators, but no. So a lot of these images have appeared on Warhammer Community already, but it's nice to have a look at them again. You can see here the Sagittar ATV. This is a smaller sort of transport. And different weapon options on top. Just because these models aren't up for pre-order today, they'll be coming, I'm guessing, before the end of the year, hopefully. And we've got them there fighting the Chaos Warriors over, looks a bit like a moonscape. Then we come to the rule section themselves. So I'll go through this. I'll jump around a little bit because I think it's going to help to sort of explain some of the, not just the detachment abilities, but some of the special rules and other abilities and keywords that appear on the data sheets. So we'll do this page and we'll skip through and then we'll come back. But so very simply, really, the detachment abilities. as you'd expect. If all your units are drawn from, if your army is drawn using just units from this codex, they can form a Votann detachment. The only sort of limitation is that you can only include one Carl, which is your sort of HQ option here, per detachment. There is an exception to that, in that you can use as some rules for the Votannic Council, which is like a high council or ruling body of the league. You can promote one of your Carls to be a high Carl, and you're able to use a high Carl and a regular Carl in the same detachment. The Carls have some really, really good buffs as well. They're very good force multipliers, so I think a high Carl and a Carl would be a good addition to any detachment, really. They interact very well with the Eye of the Ancestors, the Judgment mechanic, which we'll come to, which is a very, very strong mechanic that the Leagues of Votann get access to. And then, just like Space Marine Chapters or Tau Seps, you get the League Customs, which is like a special bonus for each league, a unique Stratagem, Relic, Warlord trait, and also a unique Ancestral Judgment, which is a unique way that league interacts with the Judgment token mechanic, which we'll talk about when we come to those pages. We get the leagues themselves. So this is the Greater Furion League, which is like the main sort of one that we see on the box art here, and this is where I was saying here. So we get the league custom, which is like the bonus for choosing this league. In this instance, friendly models, excluding the cog models, which are like the little flying Ironkin drone type things that some of the units have, count as 2 models when determining control of an objective marker, or 5 models if they have a wounds characteristic of 10 or more. So it allows you to contest objectives a bit more. That's one thing just to point out, actually, I did miss here, is that your objective secured units are the Hearthkyn Warriors and the Hearthkyn Pioneers, the bikes, and your regular troops choice, so these 2 units here. These are your only troops choice in the army. Currently, the Codex only contains these in your troop selection, so it's useful to have both of these as objective secured. And of course, these guys are quite fast, so you can get these onto objectives. The Greater Furion League, makes it, sorry, wrong page, makes it much easier to sort of contest those objectives. And then the second part of this league custom is basically each of your units gets when they're making an attack, they can reroll 1 hit or 1 wound roll when making that attack. It's okay, I think, not too bad a custom. The Ancestral Judgment, though, I think is very, very good. Each time a model, excluding the cog models, and again those flying drones, makes an attack against a target that has 1 or more judgment token, the enemy is considered to have an additional judgment token when determining the bonuses that apply to the attacking models, to the models' attacks. So that's really, really good. So I guess now's a good time just to talk a little bit about, well, what are judgment tokens? How do they work? So if we just flick forward, and we can come to this section, because I think it will give a bit of context to some of these rules. So it's this Eye of the Ancestors rule here, and basically units in your enemy's army can accrue these judgment tokens, and there's various ways you can assign a judgment token to an enemy unit. And then when your own units either fight or shoot those enemy units with judgment tokens, you get a bonus. So if the target unit has got 1 judgment token, for example, any unmodified hit roll of 6 will automatically wound the target, and it counts as an unmodified 6 to a wound as well, which is quite cool, as there are some effects that trigger off unmodified wound rolls of 6 as well. If the target's got 2 judgment tokens, it's a 5+ to hit will be an automatic wound, and if the token unit's got 3 judgment tokens, it's an unmodified hit roll of 4+ that inflicts an automatic wound, which is just really, really good. And that's whenever they shoot or fight. So I believe it also works in Overwatch as well. Yeah, so it's a really, really thematic sort of mechanic, I think, where the idea is that the Carl or the war leader of your host is able to prioritize enemy units, judge them, mark them for sort of destruction, and the rest of the sort of Leagues of Votann army are able to focus those units down. So how do you give enemy units judgment tokens then? Well, that's described here, and this is just one way of doing it. There are stratagems, warlord traits, datasheet abilities which allow you to redistribute judgment tokens or assign more judgment tokens, as we'll see. But generally, if an enemy unit destroys a Votann unit from your army, they'll get a judgment token, and that lasts for the entire game. It doesn't disappear like a Markerlight token. It stays with that unit for the entire game, unless you get over ways of moving them around if you want to. Each time an enemy unit successfully completes an action or a psychic action, it gains a judgment token, which is, that's a key part of the game, really. And then finally, at the end of your opponent's turn, you can select an enemy unit in range of an objective marker and give them a judgment token. So it's quite easy to sort of stack up the judgment tokens on the units you want to, using just these basic rules here. But like I say, there are other ways of doing it as well. So that's the Eye of the Ancestors mechanic, and I think it'll just give you a bit of context when we start flicking through the other rules in this book. So if we go back to the leagues themselves then, so you can see here for the Great Arthurian League, the Ancestral Judgment, every time you're attacking a unit that has one or more judgment token, you treat them as having an additional judgment token. So if you can get one judgment token on your target unit, you then automatically wound them on hit rolls of 5. And there are several ways to bestow a reroll hit bonus to units, so you can go fishing for those 5s. And again, if you can get 2 tokens on there on a 4+, 50% of your hits are automatically wounding the target. So that's really, really strong, I think. Warlord trait here is just a regular sort of command point refund mechanic. This Appraising Glare stratagem, though, works really well with their Ancestral Judgment. 1 CP, it allows you to assign 2 judgment tokens rather than 1 when your Carl uses the Grim Efficiency ability, which is an ability they have on their data sheet we'll come to. So that's, you can see straight away how easy it is really to start stacking these judgment tokens. Trans-Hyperion Alliance there. These have a sort of mixture of offensive, defensive, and sort of mobility bonuses. They get some bonuses to their hit rolls if their units are below half strength. And here we can see here, each time a model with this custom makes an attack, an unmodified wound roll of 6 increases the armor penetration by 1. The automatic wounds that are inflicted as a result of the Eye of Ancestors mechanic, the Judgment Token mechanic, count as unmodified 6s. So any of those automatic wounds you're getting will be with an additional AP. So, the way you can stack these sort of bonuses is really, really strong. The Ancestral Judgment one here allows you to reroll wound rolls of 1 if you're shooting a target with a judgment token. So this is sort of like a bit of a safety net. If you don't manage to get any automatic wounds through, you get a bonus, a wound reroll bonus that you can use instead. So that's quite useful, I think. The Warlord trait allows you to redeploy 3 units at the start of the first turn. A really, really powerful ability, I think. You can sort of react to enemy deployments or to the mission or to who's got it in the first turn with this ability. We have the Cronus Hegemony. I think this is the sort of the melee sort of focused league, as it were. Lots of ways here to buff your melee units, like your Chthonian Berserks, your Einherjar Champion especially, and maybe the Hearthguard, the Einherjar Hearthguard. It's basically all about granting extra attacks, extra strength. Really, really cool. So they're league custom here. If they charge or they are charged, they basically get like a shock assault bonus here, +1 attack. And then they also get +1 strength as well, so quite nice. The Ancestral Judgment there. If the target unit has got 2 or more judgment tokens, you can improve the AP characteristic of the attack by 1. I really like the Warlord trait, Exemplary Hero. You'll see when we come to the Einherjar Champions data sheet, you can use this Warlord trait with the Einherjar Champion, a combination of some relics, this stratagem as well, to give them a crazy amount of really powerful attacks. So I really like that. Yeah, this stratagem here, I think it grants exploding hits. Yeah, an unmodified hit roll of 6 goes 1 additional hit in melee. And then this relic here, this Just Blade. So this is a replacement for the I believe it's for the Dark Star axe, which is the axe that the Einherjar Champion can take. And you can see here it's AP -4, damage 2, but it ignores invulnerable saves. It's a really nice relic, but the Iron Hair Champion has some really nice weapons built in onto his data sheet. So I guess you can take a couple of Iron Hair Champions. One of them can take this relic. One of them can have the hammer relic, and another one can just have one of the weapons off the data sheet. I do like the Cronus Hegemony. I think close combat Leagues of Votann army with the Chthonian Berserks, the Iron Hair Champions would be quite a powerful army. We've got the Emir Conglomerate, which is more of a sort of ranged league. They get extra range on their weapons. They get bonuses when they're shooting those weapons within half range. Every model in the army has at least a 5+ invulnerable save. So models in a unit with this custom that have a save characteristic of 2+ gain a 4+ invulnerable save. Other models in a unit with this custom gain a 5+ invulnerable save. So, you know, your vehicles have 5+ invulnerable saves. Some of them have 4+ invulnerable saves. This combos quite nicely with the Void Armor, which every model in the Leagues of Votann army has. Void Armor is a special rule that they have on their data sheets, and it basically reduces the AP of incoming attacks by 1 and prevents the opponent from re-rolling any wounds. So you can see how you can use the Emir Conglomerate to make a really sort of defensive army. Then we have the Urani Suitor Regulates, which is another quite defensive one. All of their models have +1 toughness, which is quite nice. And I like their Ancestral Judgment as well, which is basically you always count an enemy unit as having at least 1 judgment token, even if they have none, which I think is a very, very cool sort of safety net for the Leagues of Votann. Those judgment tokens and the Eye of Ancestor mechanic is such a powerful sort of thing running through the army that being able to benefit from it every time you fight or shoot, I think is really, really strong. Then we also get a way to build a custom league, very similar to like a custom Space Marine chapter or a custom Tau Sept. You get, I think it's like 14 or 16 different league customs, and you choose 3 of them when you're putting your army together. And sometimes, you know, you tend to overlook these, or I do. I don't find them to be as powerful or as useful as some of the sort of built-in leagues that or chapters or Tau Septs that come in the codexes. But I have to say, when I was reading through this, I was really impressed with some of the combinations you can put together. So, for example, you could use Martial Clone Skies to grant your army +1 attack when it charges, like a Shock Assault, or is charged, or makes a heroic intervention. You can then use Brutal Efficiency, so that an unmodified hit roll of 6 scores an additional hit. So you get an exploding hits on those extra attacks, and then combine that with Close Quarters Prioritization, which is adding 2 to the charge roll. So you're more more likely to get into combat. So yeah, there are some nice options here. Void Hardened, which is like a sort of a little bit like transhuman physiology. There, it can only be wounded on a 3+ across your entire army. So I think there is some mileage in the custom leagues, to be fair, the custom league traits. It's just a shame you miss out on the unique stratagems and relics, and some of them are very nice, and the Ancestral Judgments, which I think is probably more important. Those Ancestral Judgments are very useful. Okay, and now we have the stratagems. So there are 2 pages of stratagems, about 30 or so, on top of the sort of the league stratagems that you get, league-specific stratagems. There's a good mix, I think, of sort of offensive stratagems, defensive stratagems, some good utility stratagems here. Sometimes you find in the codexes that there's a lot of like, I don't know, stratagems that you never use, and they're sort of padded with stratagems that don't see much use in games. I honestly think there's a use for the majority of the stratagems in this book. I think that they're all quite effective. You've got stratagems which grant sort of rerolls to hit, shooting or melee for certain units, which I think is really, really useful because it allows you to go fishing for those automatic wounds via the judgment mechanic. So, for example, ancestral sentence here, that when you're shooting or fighting, if the target unit has a judgment token, you can reroll the hit roll. Superb. There was a really good shooting one in here. I'll try to remember where it was. Yes, this one here, Reactive Reprisal. Very reminiscent of the Horus Heresy sort of reaction mechanic. It allows you to shoot with one of your units in response to an enemy unit shooting. So you can shoot in the enemy unit shooting phase, in the opponent shooting phase, sorry. You do, I think, have to forfeit your shooting attacks in the following shooting phase. But that might not be a problem. You may be able to work around that. And it does give your opponent something to think about when he's targeting some of your, your offensive range weapons. I really like that. Like I mentioned previously, there are stratagems here as well which can sort of interact with the judgment token mechanic, the Eye of the Ancestor mechanic, and let you redistribute judgment tokens or count units as having additional judgment tokens. Personal Grudge, for example, you can choose one of your characters and one enemy unit, and then when that character is fighting that enemy unit, they count them as having 3 judgment tokens, which is really, really cool on a unit like the Iron Hair Champion, I suppose, who's wants to be getting into combat and destroying enemy units. So I really like that one. You get the regular stratagems here that let you take extra relics and warlord traits as well, which is cool. Light 'em Up is another good stratagem, I think, which interacts with the Eye of the Ancestors judgment token mechanic. It allows you, once you've shot with a unit that has searchlight, so like your Hearthkyn Pioneers, the jet bikes and things, and the vehicles, they can basically add a judgment token to that unit. So when the rest of your army fires at it, they get the bonuses of that judgment token, which I think is really, really cool. Newfound Nemesis lets you assign judgment tokens to enemy units if they're destroying your Warlord or your Grimnir, which I think is very, very good as well. Like I say, another way of adding judgment tokens to the enemy army. Then you got some cool utility here as well. So subterranean explosives halves the movement characteristic of an enemy unit and makes them fight last. Really, really cool. Concussion Blast prevents an enemy unit from firing Overwatch, and then reduces their effectiveness when they're fighting you, that -1 to hit. I think which is pretty cool. You've got stratagems here which let you shoot units when they're coming on from reserves. Stratagems that allow you to redeploy units mid-game. And this overshard shield crest. So these shield crests are a piece of equipment that your characters have. So the Carl has it, the Iron Hair Champion has it, and then the Thanes and the unit sergeants and things, they have them as well. So you can choose a unit that's got a shield crest in there and give them a transhuman physiology buff, which is useful. So yeah, so on the whole, I think the Codex is packed full of great stratagems, which is interesting. We've talked a lot on the podcast about what we think or what we would like to see happen with stratagems. There's a lot of bloat, I think, in a few of the codexes. There's a lot of stratagems that you tend not to use or aren't very efficient. That's not the case with the Votann. I think all the stratagems are very, very good. I mean, we're coming to sort of the end of 9th edition now, I think. 10th edition can't be too far away. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with stratagems generally. But it would be a shame to see a lot of these abilities go. I think they're all very, very cool. Okay, and then we come to the Votannic Council section, which I'm going to skip past this bit now, I think, and come back to this once we've looked at the data sheets, because I think it'll make a bit more sense then. But in effect, it's a mechanic similar to what you see in the Space Marine Codex, where you can upgrade a captain to a chapter master, an apothecary to a chief apothecary, that kind of thing. Pay points cost, get some extra rules. Really, really nice. Like I say, we'll come back to this once we've seen the respective data sheets that go alongside it. We get quite a few relics, as you can see, and there's quite a few good options in here. There's a variety of different shield type crests you can equip, or the crests for the different units. There's a few melee weapons. The Exactor is a nice sort of hammer unit that would be great, I think, on a Iron Hair Champion. Inflicts mortal D3 plus 3 mortal wounds on an unmodified hit roll of 6. There's a cool, somewhere in here, this cool bolt weapon here. Turns into a relic, an extra armor damage, armor penetration, it automatically wounds the target unit if it has any judgment tokens. You're not looking for that 4s, 5s, 6s here, just automatically wounding, which I think is nice. What I especially like about the relic section of this book is, as you can see, there is so much sort of narrative lore around each of these relics, which I think is great, because obviously this is, you know, Leagues of Votann are a new faction, and they're really squeezing in as much background and lore and narrative elements throughout the book in any way they can, and I just think that's great. It's been great reading up about all these different things. So we've got the Warlord traits there, and the Skynroad Discipline, which is the psychic discipline for the Grimnirs, the sort of rune priest looking models. Some interesting Warlord traits here. As you'd expect, there are a couple here that interact with the judgment tokens and Eye of the Ancestors. A long list looks like a good pick, I think. Provides some bonuses to your Warlord, but I really like this last bit here, which is at the end of the phase. If enemy units with judgment tokens were destroyed, you can select one enemy unit that is visible to your Warlord, and it gains 1 judgment token, which is a great way, I think, of recycling judgment tokens. Guild affiliate as well, I think, is a useful one. You've only got the Hearthkyn warriors and the Hearthkyn pioneers as your objective secured units. The guild affiliate allows you to make another unit objective secured for a turn. Or provide bonuses to units that have already got objectives secured, so I think that's really, really useful. It says here the Youth of the Destined here, he gains 2 Warlord traits, Ancestral Bearing and the Experienced Eye Warlord trait. The Experienced Eye Warlord trait is a special Warlord trait that the High Carls can take. So basically in each of your command phases, the Warlord can use their Grim Efficiency ability twice. But you have to select 2 different units basically, and there are stratagems that interact with the Grim Efficiency, as we've seen earlier on in the League's stratagems. So they add additional judgment tokens. Very, very cool. The Skyrocketed Discipline as well, I think, is really, really good. You've got a command point refund. Sorry, not refund. It's like a way of gaining command points there at the top, and it states as well that it's it is an exception to the limit of refunding CP. Fortify is a nice defensive psychic power you can cast. Add toughness and a feel no pain ability to a unit. Ancestral Wrath is a way of dishing out mortal wounds. Grudge Pyre, I think, can be used to remove enemy models from units, on leadership tests. And Null Vortex is a fantastic one of just disabling invulnerable saves. Got the chapter approved secondary objectives there. 4 options, and actually I think these are quite good. So this the Ancestors are watching one, and you get victory points basically each phase. I think for destroying units that have judgment tokens, with an option to get additional victory points. Grudge matches, you're basically choosing some, I think it's up to 5 units at the beginning of the game, and you're getting points for destroying those units depending on how many points those units cost. And I really like Prospects of Wealth as well. I think, is it Prospects of Wealth? Yes. No, this one, Lay Claim. So basically you're getting victory points for performing an action around objectives where you're sort of prospecting and mining them for resources. Quite thematic. Quite a comprehensive name generator there. Some interesting names. I think we'll see good use of that. We're looking forward to, obviously, the Sprues and Brews are planning a crusade in November with the rest of the Sprues and Brews team. I'll be building and painting a Leagues of Votann force to take that crusade, so I'll be making use of the name generator there for some of my Thanes and heroes. We get the crusade rules here, which I'll come back to at the end, I think, to have a look at that at the end. There's quite a comprehensive crusade sort of mechanic, as you can see, but we'll come back to that. And then we come to the data sheet. So before we start the data sheets, I think it's probably worth going through the rest of the sort of general rules. So we've looked at the ancestors already. There are a couple more on here as well. So the first one is this hunter weapons. This is a new type of weapon type, I guess, you know, rapid fire, heavy, assault, and hunter. A lot of the weapons have this hunter ability, so we'll see that on the data sheets, but also at the back, you've got a... where are we? Let's have a look down here. Yeah, you can see here, so we can see all the different types of weapon, and we can see which ones are hunter down here as well. So you can see there's a fair few. The grenade launchers, the bolt weapons, the iron blasters. And basically, what these do is they sort of mitigate the movement penalty, the to hit penalty for moving and firing heavy weapons. So basically, a hunter 2 weapon, for example, just always gets 2 shots, whether you've moved or not. Which I think is good because your infantry are generally movement 5, and you want to be trying to, you know, you don't want to compromise any of your ranged firepower as a result of moving on to objectives and around the battlefield. So hunter weapons are a great sort of way around that. They've also got Magna rail weapons, and beam weapons as well. Magna rail is very, very cool. It's a almost like a tower railgun, I guess. Ignores invulnerable saves. There are a variety of different Magna rail weapons, so your basic Hearthkyn warriors can take a Magna rail weapon. You can put that on some of the vehicles. So yeah, they're ignoring vulnerable saves, and also on an unmodified wound roll of 6, the damage carries over to the rest of the unit. It's like splash damage, which is nice, especially when you consider that any of the automatic wounds from your judgment tokens count as 6s, so they will trigger that effect, which is quite cool. Beam weapons as well are another really, really cool weapon. Basically, they fire through multiple units. So you can see in the example here that the vehicle has fired its beam weapon at the Orc Death Dread at the back there. And every unit the line passes through also take a hit from the same weapon. If you score the hit, which is quite cool. There are some exceptions. So this character unit here, you wouldn't ordinarily be able to target that via the Lookout Sir rule, so that isn't affected by the beam weapon, but the other units are. In this example as well, it shows that too. This unit here is out of line of sight from the vehicle that's firing, so it doesn't take the hit. But the unit in front here on the terrain and the big stomper, it's not a stomper, I can't remember what they're called now. At the back, Morkanauts and Gorkanauts, that's right. That takes the hit as well. So beam weapons are really, really cool, and it's like a unique sort of technological sort of ability that the Votann have, Leagues of Votann have. Then we get Steady Advance and Void Armor. So we've touched on Void Armor already. Really, really cool defensive ability for, and I think every data sheet has the Void. In fact, I think every data sheet has the Void Armor, the Steady Advance, and the Ancestors ability. So you're benefiting from this across your whole army, really. Steady Advance is just another way of sort of mitigating that sort of below average movement. You ignore any penalties when you're moving or charging, and you basically always advance 3 inches when you decide to advance, which is quite nice. So let's get on to the data sheets themselves then. We've got quite a packed HQ section, really. We've got the Carl option there, and the special character E for the Destined. There's the Ironhair Champion, the Grimnir, and the Brockhair Ironmaster. So if we go back to the Carl, I think it's going to be a staple in most Leagues of Votann armies. Really, the best thing about this data sheet is the Grim Efficiency ability. So in your command phase, you can choose an enemy unit and give them a judgment token. So this is one of the key ways of distributing judgment tokens throughout the enemy's forces. For the Destined as well, he gets that same ability. And if you take the Carl and a High Carl, which you're able to do in the same detachment, you can then benefit from this Experienced Eye Warlord trait as well, where you can use the Grim Efficiency twice. So you're distributing those, well, free judgment tokens, I guess, with a High Carl and a Carl in your army. And then you've got this efficient example. So every time the High Call destroys an enemy unit, if that enemy unit had one or more judgment tokens, you can choose another enemy unit and give them a judgment token. So it allows you to sort of recycle those judgment tokens. So I really like the Carl. Get a variety of different weapon options there. These shield crests, so the rampart crest and the teleport crest. These are these things that come over the back of the sort of the model. Your Thanes have them and your characters and things, and you get a choice here. So the rampart crest, I think, gives nearby models invulnerable saves, so you can stick him with your Hearthkyn warriors. And the teleport crest is like a deep strike mechanic, I guess. E for the Destined, he's a really nice character as well. This Blade of the Ancestors weapon that he's got, it can do quite a lot of mortal wounds when he's attacking enemy units with judgment tokens. They both got this sort of Space Marine Captain, and then the Chapter Master sort of upgrade the reroll hit auras that you'd expect, which is nice. And Anufa has a couple of additional rules where he can reduce the damage characteristics of attacks that are coming towards him. And this Ancestral Fortune is a really nice ability that he can use either on himself or a nearby unit. And basically once per battle round, they can change a hit roll, a wound roll, or I think a save roll as well, and a damage roll to a 6. So quite a cool little bonus ability there. So that's a call. We'll go on to the Ironhair Champion, which is a little bit like a lieutenant option for the Leagues of Votann, except the reroll wound aura only affects friendly Hearthguard units, not every unit in your army or every core unit in your army. I like the Ironhair Champion though. I think he's a bit of like a homing missile you can send at your enemy's big threats. He's got quite a good stat line. He gets a fair number of attacks, especially when you look at the Dark Star Axe here, which basically you roll in 2 hits, I think, for each, making 2 attacks for each. You make 2 hit rolls for each attack, so 8 attacks base. Whereas the Mass Hammer is a bit more reliable, a bit more substantial damage with each swing. There are some cool relics as well, which you can replace these. We've talked about those previously. He's also got the option as a teleport crest, or this We Feel crest, which can give him the 4+ invulnerable save. He does impact hits with his mass driver accelerators, and he's got this ram shield, which is this big shield thing on his arm, when we saw from the model showcase, which just makes it a bit harder to wound him. But I do like the Ironhair Champion. The Grimnir is like your librarian or psyche unit. Provides a few sort of leadership buffs to nearby units, which is quite nice. The sort of core supports, these are the little sort of cog drone type models that accompany him, gives him a bit of protection from perils of the warp. He can manifest 2 psychic powers, and I believe, I've lost the page now, but if we go back, if you upgrade him to the Lord Grimnir, he can cast an additional psychic power as well. Yeah. So that's here. Content to manifest 1 additional psychic power in your psychic phase. You get some bonuses if he's targeting units with his powers. Bonuses to his psychic test if they've got judgment tokens. It's quite nice. So that's the Grimnir in Lord Grimnir, and there's some really cool stratagems as well for the Grimnir. So I think he may be a quite useful addition to your army. The Brockier Iron Master, fantastic unit. I really like this model from a gaming point of view. I think he's very, very powerful. So he's like a tech priest medic equivalent, I guess. He has some abilities here that allow him to restore wounds to vehicles and exoframe units, which are like the exosuit armored, or the heavier exosuit armored. I think they're called Thunderkin, are they? Thonian Berserk, Sanctars. Yeah, the Brockier Thunderkin here. These are the exoframe keyword there. His little ecogs, the little drone things that accompany him as well, just make that a bit more reliable. He has this multispectral visor, which is a really nice ability where you can basically nominate an enemy unit, and nearby core and vehicle units get bonuses to hit when they're attacking them with the ranged weapons, which is nice. He's got a good mix of melee and ranged weapons himself, but it's this graviton rifle really, which I think is it's worth looking at a bit closer. So this is a hunter free weapon, so you're always getting those free shots with it. Quite a respectable stat line there: strength 5, AP -3, damage 2. If he's targeting something with a 3+ save though or better, it becomes damage free. So against Space Marines, for example, you're doing potentially 9 damage there, which is nice. It becomes something really special though when we upgrade him to a Brockier Forge Master. And it's this Ancestral Judgment ability here, Forge Master's Eye. So basically, every time he makes an unmodified wound roll of 6, if the target has 1 or more Judgment tokens on them, the attack inflicts a number of mortal wounds equal to the damage characteristic of the weapon. So now, if he's targeting a Space Marine unit and he rolls 6s to wound, he's doing 3 mortal wounds, up to 9 mortal wounds. Which is awesome. Then you've got to think, well, okay, maybe he's targeting a unit with Judgment tokens on him, and for this to trigger, the unit has to have at least 1 Judgment token. Any unmodified hit rolls of 6 will also cause a wound with an unmodified roll of unmodified value of a 6 as well. So any hit rolls of 6s are doing 3 mortal wounds to Space Marines. If the target unit's got 3 Judgment tokens on them, any hit rolls of 4 are doing 3 mortal wounds to a Space Marine unit. So up to 9 mortal wounds for hit rolls of 4. And there's ways to get those re-rolling of hit rolls by stratagems and things like that. So I think a Brockier Forge Master with a Graviton rifle is going to be a bit of a tricky unit for an enemy to has to watch out for. The mortal wound output potential for that model is quite respectful. The only troops option here, the Hearthkyn Warriors. So even though we've only got 1 troops option in the book, as you can see, it's quite a big data sheet. You get quite a lot of flexibility here. So the sort of standard loadout for the Hearthkyn Warrior is the Autarch Pattern Bolter, which is a Hunter 2, Strength 4, AP -1, Damage 1 weapon, 24 inches. So it's like a bolt gun that's always bolt rifle that's always rapid firing at full range. Or you can swap all of those in the unit for the Iron Blaster, which is a bit shorter range, less shots, but you're getting high strength, better AP, and more damage. So you might want a couple of units with these different weapon options there to give you a few options in the shooting phase. The unit can be between 10 and 20 models strong, and then for each 10 models you can take 2 additional you can swap 2 of the Hearthkyn Warriors to have some special weapons, and you get a large range of sort of special weapons you can choose from, including some weapons that would be heavy weapons in other armies, I guess, but they're hunter weapons in this army. The L7 missile launcher, they're quite flexible anti-tank or anti-horde. The rail rifle, which is strength 9, AP -4, ignores invulnerable save, D3 +3 damage, and remember, an unmodified wound roll of 6 means that damage splashes over, so it carries over to other models in the target unit, and they can trigger that with the Judgment tokens. There's a couple of other special weapons, a few plasma type weapons there, a beam weapon, the plasma beamer. So yeah, I like that. The Thane as well comes with a Weave Field Crest, so he has a 4+ invulnerable save, but that gives you the Shield Crest keyword, which allows you to use some of those stratagems as well to provide certain bonuses to the rest of the unit. And then we've got these 3 sort of specialist sort of upgrades that you can give to the unit as well. The Medipack basically gives you the medic keyword. I think that's right. So the first failed save you make for the unit, you can reduce the damage to 0, which means your opponent has to sort of think about how he's the order he's firing his weapons at you and that kind of thing, to sort of make sure he works around this defensive ability that you've got. There's also a stratagem that allows you to bring back D3 warriors with when you've got the medic keyword. And then you've got these multi-wave comms array and pan-spectral scanner, so 2 more upgrades. 2 of your models can have these upgrades. The multi-wave comms array is a really cool one, which allows you to count the squad as being within range of a Carl from 24 inches away. So you can sort of spread your forces out a bit, and you get those reroll hit auras from the Carl. And then you've got the pan-spectral scanner, which just reduces light cover, the bonuses enemy units might be getting from light cover away from them. It just lets that AP -1 get through a bit further, a bit more effective, sorry. So that's the Hearthkyn Warriors. We've then got the Einherjar Hearthguard, which are like your Terminator unit, I guess, your elite unit. They've got a quite good stat line as well. Strength 5, Toughness 5, 2+ save. They've got exo armor, so they're reducing the damage they by 1 from attacks that target them, which is quite cool. And the Hessier, which is like the squad sergeant, he has a 4+ invulnerable save and an extra wound as well. Or you can give them a teleport crest, which allows the unit to basically, deep strike. They're quite well kitted out in the weapons department as well. So you've got a quite a good variety of range weapons there, from the Volkite disintegrators, which can inflict mortal wounds on unmodified hit rolls of 6, and the plasma guns. You've got the grenade launchers, and then the plasma blade gauntlets, concussion hammers, and concussion gauntlets as your sort of melee weapons. So yeah, I think they're quite cool. They seem to be quite expensive though, but they are core, which is interesting. The Chthonian Berserks, though, I think are my favourite Elite unit. These are like your sort of dwarf slayers. I think these guys are brilliant, and although they're not wearing the sort of exosuit that the Einherjar Hearthguard are wearing, their augmented special rule, and the fact that they're still Toughness 5, Strength 5, they've got 2 wounds just like the Hearthguard. Only a 6+ save, but they're basically getting a 4+ feel no pain against damage 1 attacks, 5+ against other damage, any other attack. So I think they're actually quite resilient themselves, even though they've only got that 6+ save. They, even if they are dying, they've got this cyber stims ability, so they basically get to fight before they remove from play, which is cool. They can also reroll charge rolls, so you should be able to get these guys into combat. The weapons themselves are really nice. So they get quite a lot of attacks, 3 attacks each base. And they've got a variety of different melee weapons, including this heavy plasma axe, which can make like a sweep attack. Yeah, I really like the Chthonian Berserks. I think they're a nice unit, and they're not too expensive. They're half the price really of the Einherjar Hearthguard. And can be taken in units up to 10. Then we've got the Hearthkyn Pioneers, which is one of your fast attack options. These are the bikes. 12-inch move, which is nice. In a the rest of your infantry are only movement 5, and there's some stratagems as well that interacts with this accelerated keyword, which you find on the vehicles on the bikes to make them move a bit faster. They've got some interesting range weapons as well. But I think what I like about these guys is the Ranger Outriders, which allows them to make a normal move before the first turn begins, which I play Craftworld Eldar as one of my other armies, and the Shroud Runners have this ability, and it's really useful in games to outfox your opponent following deployment, or get onto objectives or up the board at certain positions early on. They can be equipped with these searchlights, which there are stratagems that trigger off the searchlights and allow you to put judgment tokens onto enemy units. They've also got these comms rays and spectral scanners, just like the Hearthkyn warriors have as well. So I like the Hearthkyn Pioneers, taking in units of up to 6, and every third model in the unit can be equipped with one of the, I say heavy weapons, they're not heavy weapons, they're still hunter weapons, but in any other codex they would be heavy weapons. We've got the Sagittar, which is a really interesting unit. So this is like, I want to say like a Rhino, but it's a lot better than a Rhino, really. It's more like a small tank with a transport capability. So it's got the, I say heavy again. There are a couple of heavy weapons this time, but it's on a vehicle. What they do have, though, is a really interesting sort of transport-y type rule, where you can basically take multiples of these in a unit, and you can split squads across them. Which is interesting. They enable to your sort of combat squad a unit of Hearthkyn warriors, for example, which is quite a unique sort of ability, really. Outside of Space Marines, I guess. So that's the Sagittar. And like I say, this is a 3+ armor save and void armor, so it's reducing the Where's the Void Armor now? Somewhere here. It's reducing the AP of incoming shots by 1, and opponents can't re-roll wounds against them. We then get the first of the heavy support options, which are these Brockier Thunderkin. So these are also sort of equipped with Graviton weapons and conversion beamers, which have the beam and blast special rules. These are tough as well, toughness 5, 3 wounds, 3+ save. They ignore dense cover on target units. Very nice models though, I mean you can see them here, really, really nice models. And these are the extra frames, so these can be buffed and repaired as well by the Brockier Ironmaster. Even the bolt cannon that they come with as standard, Hunter 3, Strength 6, AP 2, Damage 2 is respectable. And then finally we have the Hearthkyn Land Fortress, which is basically a bit like a Land Raider, fulfills a sort of battle line tank and main transport for the army. This is toughness 8, 16 wounds, 2+ save. You know, and certainly you can give this thing a 4+ invulnerable save. It's got the Void Armor, reducing AP of incoming attacks by 1. You're not able to re-roll wounds against it. In some leagues, you can make it toughness 9. It's got guns all over the shop, so a mixture of sort of anti-infantry and anti-tank weapons there, including the heavy magnet rail cannon, which is strength 14, ignores invulnerable save, AP -4, 2d3 +6 damage, which on an unmodified wound roll of 6 will splash over into the unit as well. So you know that's a great weapon to fire even into large infantry units. I think that's what my first Hearthkyn Land Fortress is going to be armoured with. It also is able to take one of 3 warheads. The Mountain Breaker warhead, the Kin's Wrath warhead, and the Ancestor's Vengeance warhead. You can only shoot them once per battle. They're okay, I guess, but I really think it's this heavy Magna rail cannon that's the standout pick on this unit. So that's all the units. We've got all the weapon profiles here at the back and the points values. So if we go back now to the only section we haven't covered, which is this Crusade section. And at Sprues and Brews, we love Crusade, and we love codexes that come out with awesome Crusade sections, and the Leagues of Votann Codex does not disappoint in that regard. So there are a couple of mechanics that are going on in the Crusade rules for the Leagues of Votann. The first is the grudges. So basically, a little bit like Judgment, I guess. Enemy armies and factions you can accrue grudges against them. Basically, if they destroy your units, you basically proclaim a grudge against them. And whilst you've got a grudge against a particular faction, you're getting benefits when you fight that faction, which are described here. So you can, depending on how many grudge tokens an enemy unit has or an enemy faction has, you get bonuses to your hits and things like this, and reroll hit rolls. There are some downsides though. So whilst you've got a grudge against a particular enemy unit, you're restricted from performing actions or falling back and things like that. So it's like a double-sided coin, really. Very, very dwarfy, very, very fun. I'll be creating a little book of grudges to record all this stuff in. So that's the first thing, the grudges, very, very, like I say, dwarfy. Then you've got this sort of, it's almost like a real-time strategy, resource management, city builder type element to the Crusade. So basically, after each battle, you can roll on a table, and you can accrue different kinds of resources: raw materials, biomatter, energy sources, galactic intel. So this really ties into the theme where the kin are a very industrious race. They're always venturing out into the galactic core or far space in search of resources, new technology. They're always busy working in the hearths, and that's what this sort of plays into. There's chances to get rare resources, and there's consequences as well for failing to find resources and things like this. You use the resources to acquire assets, and there's a whole table of assets that you can get, and these cost resources. So for example, if you wanted to expand your mining operations, you would need 100 biomatter and 100 energy sources, but then after each battle you gain an additional D3 times 10 rare minerals. You establish trade routes, 50 raw material minerals, 50 biomatter, 100 galactic intel, and then every time you exchange a rare resource, you can either do so for 70 units of that resources type or 30 units of a different, so you can exchange different resources at like a exchange rate for different resources. There's ones that give you bonuses to requisition, enhancements for units. So it's really, really cool. So basically, there's like a shopping list of things you want to try and get for your army, for your Crusade force, and you'll, after each battle, you'll be trying to see whether you collect certain types of resources so that you're able to pay for them. You've got a chart here where you can record, you basically photocopy this and use this to record how many of the resources you've got and the rare resources you've got and which assets you're buying, which is really, really cool. So you've got the grudges mechanic in this sort of resource gathering and spending mechanic as well, which is really, really nice. As you'd expect, a whole bunch of individual agendas and requisitions, enhancements, battle traits, battle scars. Oh, sorry, not battle scars, sorry, just the different battle traits there for the different units. And the different relics. So that's the Crusade section. Yeah, I really, really like it. I think there's a lot of variety there, and I mean, I'm a big real-time strategy fan, and I love resource management type games. So this seems really, really fun. And the fact that you're rolling for it after every battle as well, and the random element to it, and you've got like target assets that you're trying to find. I think that's really, really cool. There's a chance to find like rare resources which give you additional bonuses, and of course the grudge mechanic is really, really fun because you can obviously accrue these grudges against your friends when you're playing them as well. Very, very dwarfy. So yeah, so that is the Leagues of Votann Codex review. We've also got a full written review on the Sprues and Brews website where we go through the entire Codex and Crusade mechanics, so you can check that out if you prefer to sort of read about our thoughts on the Leagues of Votann Codex. And also, if you want to subscribe to this YouTube channel, you can keep your eye out for future videos. We tend to do a lot of unboxing and review of very lucky that Games Workshop send us a lot of new codexes and models to review, so you can check them out here. Yeah, overall I'm really excited to start using the Leagues of Votann in our games, especially in our upcoming Crusade that we've got starting in November. I think the Codex contains a lot of options. I think even though it's got quite a slim datasheet selection, there's still a lot of flexibility in the way you can outfit your squads and the different custom leagues and the 5 major leagues and things. There's lots of different playstyles, I think, on offer in the book. There are hints at more to come down the line, so whether we'll see a second edition of the Leagues of Votann Codex in the not too distant future, maybe with 10th editions sometime during 10th edition, that would be great, I think, because I think there are some flyer units. I'd love to have seen like a Dreadnought type unit maybe in the book as well, so hopefully we'll see them in the future. I think in the Warhammer community article that went up a week or two back, they sort of hinted at the fact that there was more to come for the Leagues of Votann in the future, which is nice. So yeah, so thanks again to Games Workshop for sending Sprues and Brews a copy of the new Leagues of Votann army set and the Codex to review. It's been really fun reading up on this new faction, putting those models together. So yeah, so thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.